Hello soulmates, you're welcome back to my YouTube channel. If this is your first time of seeing my channel, thank you for stopping by. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you for watching. So in this tutorial, we're going to be learning how to make this beautiful top which has a stylish square neckline and a built-up neckline as well. It also have an asymmetric hem design. If you're interested in learning this, please join me while we get started. So on your pattern paper, you're just going to go ahead and draw a straight line at the top like I have done, and then mark your shoulder to bust. I'm using 9.5, shoulder to under bust 13 inches, shoulder to waist 16 inches, and then the waist to the hip is 8 inches. So you're just going to go ahead and mark that and draw straight line labeling them. So on the shoulder line, I mark my shoulder measurement divided by 2, and from that point I came down by 1 inch. I also mark 7 inches, which is my armhole depth, and I'm drawing a straight line there, which is going to be my chest line. So my armhole depth, I got it by dividing my bust circumference by 6 and adding 1.5. Okay, so I also went ahead to mark the shoulder measurement divided by 2 on the chest line, and I connected the armhole depth. So you can see that my paper is on the fold, so ensure you put yours on the fold too. So I'm marking a neck width of 3 inches and a neck depth of 3 inches as well, and then from the 3 inches width I marked on the shoulder line, I draw my shoulder slope to meet that 1 inch I came down from that shoulder line. Okay, so I also went ahead to connect the neck width, the neck curve rather. So I'm taking my armhole measurements, which I'm dividing the armhole depth by 2. I'm marking the midpoint there. I came in from the midpoint by 0.5, and I marked the bust circumference divided by 4 on the chest line. I'm connecting them together with a curve like this to get my armhole curve. So I'm using a bust circumference of 34 inches. So now I'm marking a bust span divided by 2 on the bust line down to the hip line. My bust span measurement is 7 inches, which I'm using divided by 2 is going to be giving me 3.5. Okay, so you're just going to mark the bust span, that is the nipple to nipple measurement. I'm marking it there, and on the under bust line, the side facing towards the center front, I mark half an inch, and towards the side I mark 1 inch. If you're a plus size, please mark 0.75 on the side towards the center front, and towards the side mark 1.25, so you'll be having the total of 2 inches. So now after doing that, I connected it with a straight line, and I came down from the bust line by 0.75, and now I'm using my curve to connect them together to meet the under bust from that 0.75 which I came down from the bust line. So you can also go ahead and do this. Okay, then now I'm going to take the measurement of my armhole curve. You can see the way I'm taking it. This is just to help you get an accurate measurement, and I'm going to divide that curve into 2 equal halves. Then I'm going to mark the midpoint on the curve. Then I'll take my ruler and connect the midpoint to the bust span that I marked earlier, as you can see. So I'm just going to sharpen that area so that it does not look too sharp. Okay, so from the armhole line I drew, that is from the line I connected to the bust span, I came down by 1 inch, and I'm connecting it to meet the bust span line again. So that 1 inch there, I'm going to extend it from the lower part like this and connect it together. Then I'm going to connect that point to meet the armhole. So we are going to be using this as new armhole and not the previous one we drew. So I'm just going to indicate the areas that we are going to be taking off. That is the dart. So now what I'll do is I'm going to impute the body measurement, dividing them by 4. Then I'm going to add allowance. So also ensure that when you're adding allowance, add the dart allowance. So I'm having a dart allowance on the under bust, waist and hip of 1.5 inch, 1.5 inches rather, and I'm going to be adding them and adding 1 inch for seam allowance. So you can add whatever allowance you want to use, but ensure you add your dart allowance as well. So I'm working with a waist measurement of 27 and a hip measurement of 36. The under bust I'm working with 28. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and connect them together after marking them like this. So now we need to get the neck design and the hem area, but before that I imputed the bust dart of 1.5 inches. So I came down from the bust line and marked the 1.5, connected it to the bust span like that. So that is the difference between the shoulder to waist in the front and that of the back. Waist is 16 inches, the front is 16 inches and the back is 14.5, so the difference is 1.5. So now I'm getting the neckline. I just went ahead to add another paper at the top. Okay, and then I'm putting my ruler at that shoulder slope line and extending it a little bit. You can see what I did. I just extended that shoulder slope. So from there, I'm going to mark 0.25 from that neck width of 3 inches that I marked on that shoulder slope area. I'm marking to 0.25 inside, and I'm coming out by half an inch. So from that point where I marked half an inch, I took it up by 1.25. Okay, this is because I don't want the built up neckline to be too big. According to the picture, it's not so big. So depending on what you want, you can use 1.5, you can use 2 inches. So from that 1.25 I marked up, I came in towards the center front by 1 inch. And then from that 1 inch, I'm connecting it to meet that 0.25 I marked on the shoulder slope. I hope you understand what I'm saying. I came in from the shoulder by 0.25, then towards the center front I came in by 0.5. From 0.5 I extended it to the top by 1.25 and came in by 1 inch. So from the 1 inch I connected it to meet the 0.25 on the shoulder like that. Then I also went ahead to mark 1 inch from the center line, that is from the starting shoulder line. I marked 1 inch there. So now I want to get the length of the neckline, and I came down from the chest line below it by half an inch, as you can see. Then from that half an inch I marked 2 inches. This is how wide I want it to be. So if you want yours to be wider, you can use 2.5 or 3 inches, depending on how wide you want it. So I just went ahead to connect it with a straight line like this. So from that shoulder line, so yeah, the shoulder line, that is the starting line where I marked 1 inch, I connected it to meet that line, that point where I marked earlier at the top of the neckline, the extended neckline. I went ahead to connect it together like this, and I'm also trying to get a curve at the base of the neck like this. I don't want it to be sharp because the picture is not actually having a sharp neckline. It's curvy a bit. It has a curvy square neckline design. So I'm just going to go ahead and use this marker to make it visible for us to see. So at this point we are done getting the built up neckline there, and now we are going to be getting the hemline. So for us to do that, we are going to go ahead and cut the sides out so that we can open the paper for us to work on both sides. Okay, so I just went ahead to cut a little bit of it out like this for it to be easy for us. Then I'll just go ahead and open it up. As you can see, I've opened it up, so I'll just transfer what I have on the other side to this side that is plain, and then after doing that I'm just going to come down to get the design. So as you can see now, I'm going to mark 4 inches on both sides, that is towards the side, both the left and the right side. I'm going to mark 4 inches on both sides like I'm doing right now. So after marking 4 inches, I'm going to come down from the left side, or just take one side. I'm going to come from that area, and I'm going to be working with the length of 8 inches, that is the waist to the hip. Okay, you can also come down if you want. You can extend it beyond that if you want it, it's fine. So from the other side of that, I'm going to be marking 3 inches there, and you're going to connect it from that hip area to that 3 inches. So you can actually connect it, or you better still, you can close your dart to be sure that it's on the same line. And then when you do that, you just go ahead and connect it like this to meet that 3 inches you mark on the second side of the dart. And now for us to connect it, we are also going to close the dart from this side. Yeah, we're going to close the dart, and then the measurement you have from the dart to the waist side, that is on that waistline, what you have from that dart side to the waist side, that's the side of the waist, you're just going to divide it by 2. Okay, you're just going to take the center, divide it by 2, and from that center we're going to come down by 6 inches. So I'm going to mark 6 inches there, and I'm going to connect that 3 inches we marked first to that 6 inches below, and then I'm going to also connect it to meet that 4 inches at the side that we marked earlier. So I'm also doing this and putting the curves at the right places so it doesn't look sharp. Okay, that place is not meant to look sharp, it's meant to be a bit curvy. So after doing this, I'm done with the hem area. I'll close it so that I can cut it equally. Okay, you can still cut it while it's open, whichever way it's going to be fine, as long as you put the right measurements. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and cut it, and then I'm going to close this part because I want to cut the neck at once, since I did not transfer what I have on one side to the other side. Okay, so by the time I cut it, this is what I have for the center front, and I also went ahead to cut this other side. So at this point, if you find this tutorial very helpful, please give us a thumbs up, share this video, subscribe to our channel so you can get more notification of our videos. So I've gone ahead to label it center front, side front. So now we're going to the back pattern. As you can see, I've gone ahead to mark the chest line, bust line, waist and hip. So the shoulder to waist here is 14.5, and the waist to hip is also 8 inches. And I also went to mark 2 inches before the starting line, which I'll be using for my zipper allowance. Now I'm going to use a neck width of 3 inches and a neck depth of 1 inch. Okay, Then I went ahead to connect my shoulder slope, and I'm also connecting my armhole just the same way I did for the front pattern. So if you're watching my tutorial, you'll be familiar with this. So now I'm just marking my bust span measurement divided by 2 on the chest line down to the hip line. So before I did that, I came from the waistline and I marked half an inch from the center line, that is the center back, and I connected it to the top chest line. Okay, so after connecting to the chest line, I also connected it downwards towards the hip. Then for the bust line, that's the bust span line, I went ahead to draw it, connecting it from the chest line down to the hip, okay, with a straight line. So from the waist, I marked half an inch on both sides, and I came down from the waist by 4 inches, and I connected the dart to meet the 4 inches below and also to meet the chest line at the top. Then now I'm imputing the body measurements, dividing them by 4 and adding the necessary allowance, that is the dart allowance and the seam allowance. So at this point, you can also decide to use a princess dart for this, or you can just leave it this way. So I'm putting the hem design here. What I did is I marked 4 inches on both the center back and the side back. Then towards the dart area, I marked 5 inches, and I'm connecting all sides together, trying to avoid every sharp edges, okay? So now I'm going to be adding the zipper allowance of 1 inch all round. Please note that the waist area, you're going to be using the new waistline that we marked, where we came in by half an inch, not the previous one. Then I'm going to connect them together like this. So because the top area, we need to work on the built up neckline there, I just stopped and then added extra paper. So now I extended the slope of the back, I extended it a bit, and I came in by 0.25 and came out towards the center back by half an inch, just like I did for the front. I marked 1.25 from that place, I extended it up, and I came in by 1 inch, which I connected to the 0.25 again, same way we did the front. So now I'm just going to extend that line towards the center back like this with a straight line, and then from the center back I'm going to come down by 0.25. okay, so if you are using a longer length, maybe like 2 inches or 1.5, not 1.25, then you can use half an inch. Okay, so this is just how I want it to be. Then I went ahead to use my marker to make this very visible for us. Then the zipper line, I extended it to the top. I extended the zipper line and I realized that okay, the 0.25 was short, so I just went ahead to mark that 0.25 again and connected it together well. So this is actually what I want. So I just went ahead to mark the 1 inch for zipper allowance that I was doing before to get to that point where I have the built up neckline. So actually it's not necessary that you have to make the zipper extend to that point. If you don't want it that way, you don't have to do it that way. Okay, so I'm going ahead to label it zipper allowance, as you can see. So now after this, we can just easily cut this out. When you cut it out, you just impute your dart on it, or you can just use a princess dart on it, just like we did for the front. Okay, so it's totally optional. So if you want to use your princess dart for this, all you need to do is just take the midpoint of the armhole like we did in the front, mark it on the armhole line and connect it with a curve. Then you can cut it out. So I'm just going to show you how that is done. Okay, so after doing that, I'm just going to go ahead and cut it out for us, and then I'll label it center back and side back. I hope you find this tutorial very helpful. If you do, please ensure to give us a thumbs up. If you're a beginner, you want to learn fashion designing, you want to upgrade your skill, or you want to start from somewhere, we have a class that is commencing in May, which is going for 5,000 naira. If you're interested, please send a message to the number that is shown on the screen right now. Okay, so if you're the one that wants to learn corset classes, maybe you want to learn different kind of corset, we have a corset class that will also commence in May. And if you're interested, just send a message to the number on the screen to make more inquiries. Okay, so at this point you are done with this tutorial. If you find it helpful, please subscribe. Thank you guys for watching. See you in my next video.